So yay. Thank you everybody for showing up, for being curious and checking out this weird, crazy access consciousness stuff that I do and I love so much and I love to share. So I made it free and I was hoping that I'd have 100 people. And oh well, maybe next time. So once you get beyond this and you're like, wow, that's actually not so bad. It was actually kind of cool. Maybe the next time I do something, you'll share it with your friends and we can have a bigger crowd. Um, just to go into a little bit about access consciousness and how I found this, it was almost 20 years ago. It was like 18 years ago. I would go to my chiropractor every once in a while because I'm a jeweler and an artist, and I would have tweaks and things. And he was always doing some sort of weird California modality. And he was wonderful at cracking my neck, but he always went into the emotional pain underneath what was going on, which was really cool. I thought it was really cool. And then one day I went in with a pain in my neck and I thought it was from making jewelry. And I sat on his table and he asked me, "What's a pain in the neck?" And I said, "Oh my God, my husband and the kids and all this energy came up. And rather than just going right in and cracking my neck and using his big book of neuro emotional release stuff, technology, technique, he said, "So everything that is to you, will you destroy and uncreate it?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said these magical words, which is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement: right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, which sounds like abracadabra, but instantly the neck pain went away and he hadn't even touched me. And he hadn't gone into the emotional stuff underneath, and he hadn't muscle tested, and he hadn't gotten me to think about my childhood and make me cry about stuff to release it. It just went away. And I was like, what is that? If this can change that quickly, what else can change? And so I started going to some of his clearing nights, which are like this, but we went in person in somebody's funky living room. Um, and it was just so curious to me how quickly things would change and how much better life became. Every problem, whether it was a physical thing, a mental thing, an emotional thing, a money thing, whatever, a parenting thing, a relationship thing, applying these tools changed it so that it made it easier and more fun. And it also gave me the awareness that I had choice to create my life however I wanted to, that I wasn't at the effect of everything going on. So, how many of you still maybe have the point of view that you're at the effect of everything going on and that you don't have choice, that you can't change whatever it is? And all the energy that comes up there, it's like, oh, this heavy weight. Let's destroy and uncreate just the top 10% of that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so whatever came up and whatever you're willing to release doesn't go through your head. You don't have to think about it. It'll just start to dissipate and clear, and then things will show up different. And that's just how it works. It's magic. It's not cognitive. So as I'm speaking, and if your mind fuzzes out and you can't really hear my words, even though you speak my language. It's okay. It's part of the energy, creating space and creating change so that you can have different possibilities show up in your life. Hi, Christine. Welcome from Australia. So we've got Brazil, Australia, and California. So that was sort of my journey, and then I began to teach classes because my chiropractor ended up not being the greatest person for me to send my friends to. I never set out to do this. I'm an artist and a jeweler, and I really didn't think anything about becoming a facilitator. But it's so clear to me that, like, I can see when people speak how they're creating the problems in their life. And I've always had the idea that I wanted more beauty in the world, and I wanted to create something where it would empower people to choose that and to become that for themselves. And so I became an access facilitator 17 years ago. So tonight, the topic is anger or potency, 5 different tools to change it. But I wondered if there's any question with you guys that you would like to get out of this before I go into the tools. Anybody have a question? You can unmute yourself.
Hi, from Australia, everybody. I haven't got a question, but it is interesting that that is the topic that you chose, because I literally just said to somebody, I'm not yelling, I'm being potent. So, or angry. I'm not being angry, I'm just being potent. Are you hearing me? And I was told to quiet it down, quiet it down. And it was so patronizing. I looked at him and I said, don't do that. It's patronizing. I'm riled up at the moment. This is emotional for me. I'm talking about something quite emotional, so I get loud. So yeah, so I just wanted to say how ironic it is that this is the topic.
Yep. How many of you had something occur today where you got angry or pissed off? You might not have called it angry. Pissed off. Pissed off. Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. How many people in the world do you think are pissed off at, all the things that are going on in the world? Yeah. So even though that's tool number 2, I'm just going to go there first, because we are like these satellite dishes, and we pick up all these stations, all these channels, all this stuff going on, not just from the people next to us or next door, but for miles in all directions around us. So for you, ask yourself, how far a radius am I aware? Is it 8 miles, 800 miles, 8,000 miles, 800,000 miles? Which actually feels lighter and more true for you? Or more? She's like, more. Yeah. And the thing is that that's a capacity that we have. And yet when we don't acknowledge it, we become the effect of it. So we think that all the things that we're picking up are ours. So the first tool is, who does this belong to? Is this actually yours? Sometimes when we're pissed off or when we get triggered, it's not ours. We're aware of someone or something else. And it's not up to us to figure that out. It's up to us to ask, okay, is this even mine? Or is it someone else's? And when you stop for a moment and ask yourself that question, a lot of times it just goes away. If you don't stop and ask yourself that question and you just assume it's yours, then you can create a whole bunch of reasons why you could be upset or pissed off. Because we're really good at looking throughout our life and putting like this glaze over our life to see why we could be feeling this way and figure it out and invent something if there's nothing that's obvious. So everywhere you have invented the upset, invented the pissed off, the anger, the being at the effect of, the no choice that's actually not yours. Will you return it to sender with consciousness attached and destroy and uncreate everywhere you made it yours and you made it real and true? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh, by the way, that again is the clearing statement. And if you want to learn more about the clearing statement, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and there's a 20-minute explanation about it. But the cool thing is that you don't have to know what it is or how to say it. You can just say pock and pod or all that weird stuff Julie said, and it works because it's the energy of it. It's like, I love that she's laughing. Because, like, I didn't know what the guy was saying when I was in his chiropractor office. He just said it and the pain went away. And I was like, wow, what was that? So everything he said, you know, and the thing is that we are energetic beings and we are so quickly um, able to perceive energies, to perceive the contraction or to perceive the release and the expansion of energies. We're just made for that. And we've doubted it, we've negated it, we've poo-pooed and pushed it away, but the fact remains that we are aware. We are energetic beings and our bodies perceive all kinds of things. And when we start to pay attention to it, it makes everything so much easier for our bodies and ourselves. So, once again, all of this energy that's coming up now, will you destroy it and create it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And sometimes people say, why do I want to destroy something? Isn't that bad? No, destroying a limitation, destroying something that's a barrier, destroying something that um, that you know is maybe harmful, like cancer. You can destroy and uncreate cancer. There's all kinds of things, and it also puts you on the creative path to creating, to choosing and creating something different. Or you can recreate the same crap. That's your choice too. And some people love crap. Some people love trauma drama. If you notice, that's all that's on TV. It's really hard to find something that is not trauma drama, upset, horror, and pain and suffering. Actually, I might I might see if I can write some movies that are just a little more interesting and fun and like expansive and uplifting. That might be fun. If you guys know anybody who are writers, I would love to collaborate on that because I've got all kinds of ideas. Anyway, so we're looking at the energy of what comes up, and when we're pissed off, if we ask, okay, is this even mine? And if it isn't and it just sort of melts away, cool. That's one way to clear it. Another way to clear it is to ask yourself, is this true or is this a lie? because a lot of times when something is a lie, it'll irk you, it'll piss you off, it'll get under your skin, it'll be rolling around in your head, and you'll be trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out, and you can't because it's a lie. So if you ask, what part of this is true and what part of this is a lie? What will happen is the lie will come into your awareness. It'll just drop in, just like you get a light bulb of a brilliant idea about something, you'll get this awareness drop in. Oh, that's a lie. Okay. And as soon as you spot the lie, all that circular thinking goes away, the anger goes away, the frustration goes away. Literally, immediately. And if anybody has any example of something that is real that came up that we can show how these tools work, I'm happy to facilitate, because talking about it is great, but actually seeing it in action where you can perceive the shift in the energy is amazing. And it just really gives you a whole different level of awareness of it. Okay, so if anything pops, you can unmute yourself and we can play.
Julie, this kind of goes along with what you were just saying about getting some movies that might make us feel good. I was feeling earlier regarding the news that someone needs to come up with a news program that is all about the good stuff that actually does happen out there. Because, and if I'm feeling angry about something, it's being inundated with trauma and repetitive trauma. They just say it over and over. And so it just felt like the two things kind of fit together.
Yeah. And how much of the news is truths and lies woven together? You know?
Probably 100%.
So that's another thing, is like listening to that. And if it starts to irk you, you can ask what part of this is true and what part of it's a lie. And it just starts to allow you to navigate the different things that they're talking about. And when it feels heavy and constrictive and it makes you have a knot in your stomach, those are indications that something is not true for you.
Ah.
And a lot of people think, oh, well, I have this gut feeling, so it must be true. No, the gut feeling is an awareness of a lie. That's huge. The gut feeling is an awareness of a lie. What happened to our translator? Did she lose internet?
It almost looks like we lost two people.
Yeah. Internet is crazy. Oh, Vivi says there's no power in the building. Well, I guess she can, if she needs to, she can, finish translation from the recording. It's fine. Yeah. So does that help, Christine?
That helps on more levels than I could even start to describe right now. Just the word lie is such a for me, that, and the gut reaction, being able to sort those things in real time. I'm so excited to go try.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I practiced this a lot over the years with kids growing up and stuff. And I mean, I always knew when they weren't saying something that was true. Uh, um, but yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And this is something that is a new muscle that we need to learn how to build and work out because we all have it. We all have awareness, but we've let that muscle get really weak and flabby. And what it takes is being in the question and paying attention and not judging yourself when you miss something, just acknowledging, oh, oops, I missed that one. Or it's like, what's right about you that you're not getting, rather than what's wrong about you. Because anytime we go to judgment, make ourselves wrong or bad, or even good and right, either direction, we're not using our awareness anymore. We're getting stuck into the I want to call it binary encodings and inclusions, but that's the old way of saying it. It's the wow, my mind is totally blank. What is
Would it be polarizing?
Yeah, polarization. Thank you. It's the polarization of this reality where everybody's trying to be good and trying to be right and not be wrong and not be bad. So it puts you in a constant state of judgment. But when you're in awareness, it's beyond this reality. You're like outside of it where there is no right or wrong, good or bad. There's just choice and awareness. And you use these different perceptions. You use perceiving, knowing, receiving, and being, instead of going into thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So they're different muscles to use. We're all really well versed with the thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But that first tool that I shared, who does this belong to? You start to realize that 98% of all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't even yours. Literally, they're not yours. So what happens is you start to like have nothing going on in your head, and you have that space, like after you've, I don't know, gone to India and been in a cave for a year, or you've meditated for 6 hours, or you've done yoga or a run and you've got that peace and the endorphins. That is how you can be walking upon this earth and with this earth every single day. When you use the tools, who does this belong to? Is this even mine? It all goes away. And then you have space. And there's this incredible peace and joy that starts to emerge when we don't have the clutter of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that aren't even ours messing up our awareness. So let's see. The next one is people use anger to control you. I used to have a stepfather who was an alcoholic, and I don't know, my mom just loved him. I don't know, whatever. But he was an anger rageaholic when he wasn't drinking. And that was usually in the morning. We'd go visit for the summer, for a week in the summer in Cape Cod, and he was just not fun to be around. And he would just yell and do all kinds of crazy things. And I would always like shrink back and feel like I'm never going to come here again. And I started playing with these tools, and I started to become aware of what else might be possible so that I wasn't at the effect of him all the time. And one time he started yelling, and instead of me backing down, I pushed my barriers down and pulled his energy through me like a screen door. Just let it go through me instead of trying to barrier against it. And I said, "You just love being angry, don't you? Makes you feel alive." And he's like, "Yeah, that's right, I do." He was just pissy. And then he shut up. And it was it. It was like 2 minutes. And I thought, oh my God, I don't have to be at the effect of this anymore. I don't have to prove that I'm right. I don't have to make him bad and wrong. I can just lower my barriers, let his bullshit just move through me like I'm a screen door. And he doesn't get to control me anymore. And then I told my mom that if he ever shouted at me or my kids like that ever again, we would never come and visit. Not from a place of anger, but like, this just does not work for me. So that's it. And he changed. So, what would it be like when somebody's angry at you and trying to control you, for you to just be there present with it, to not have barriers up, to let it just move through you, and to recognize that you have choice. You can either leave or hang up or whatever, or just say, no, this isn't happening. So, everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Does anybody have somebody that's like continually angry in their life that's controlling them that they want to bring up as an example? It's okay. You can talk.
I'm just so happy to not be currently saying yes to that question.
Yeah.
Well, we do have here. We have a teenager and a mini teenager that sculpts the teenager. So
Oh,
it's
great.
cute.
Teenagers are great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, one thing you can do to out control a controlling teenager is you can tell them you're doing a good job, because what that does is it makes them go, what? What are you talking about? And when you make somebody go to question, they can no longer be in their stuck point of view of whatever they're doing. It stops them from being that. So try that. If I think of something else, I'll let you know. But do you have anything specific that he does that you feel like you can't change?
Wow. He sometimes really gets angry, especially with his father, and he wants to compete. And I don't know. It
Is it my internet or yours? You're frozen.
drives me so crazy. Just
Oh,
is
you're
mine. Yeah.
frozen. From what I got, try using you're doing a really good job And he'll say, for what? And you'll say, driving us crazy. And what else did, my kids were doing something and like making these comments about if I had a glass of wine or whatever with dinner. And so the line that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, gave me to say to them was, you're driving me to drink. So you put it back on them. Kids are manipulative, and it's not a bad thing. It's they're learning how to be in the world and get what they want, but we have to learn how to out manipulate them. And they're really good. So we have to step up our game. Did somebody else have a question? No. Okay. So the fourth tool is recognizing that anger is a distractor implant, and there are 24 different distractor implants designed to distract you from whatever is going on. Anger, rage, fury, and hate are 4 of the distractor implants that kind of work together that distract you from whatever is underneath it. So if it's not an awareness of a lie, if it's not somebody else's, if it's not somebody trying to control you, it could be a distractor implant. So you can ask, well, for a distractor implant, you pock and pod everything underneath it. So you just say all the distractor implants of anger, or anger, rage, fury, and hate. You destroy and uncreate them all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. And this one is really good if somebody actually has something to facilitate, because you go through different layers of it, pocking and potting, pocking and potting, pocking and potting, and then you get to something underneath that's like a surprise, and it makes you totally like expansive, happy, laughing, can't believe it. But I would really love to give you an example so that like you can see that live in person. Like this morning in our expanding group, I had somebody on with me, and she was asking a question about something, and it was basically she was telling herself a lie. And when I asked her that, she realized, and she just went, and like all the heaviness and the upset and the contraction totally went away. And she was giggling and happy and spacious, and everything changed. So if
I'm always jump in and be a guinea pig.
okay,
Always like one too. I think the hamster's over there. So I've just had I don't know what I'm going to ask, but I've just had other people's drama in my house, and I'm so glad they've left. I just know to destroy and uncreate it because it's nothing to do with me. And it's just staying, I don't know what the question was, Julie, because I am doing 50 million things while I'm listening to you, and people are talking to me because it's a very busy day. But so going down other people's, going down other people's rabbit holes, if you want to call it that, into their dramas, if you want to call it that. So if you want to help me clear out of this stuff, because there's a lot of energy around me still from all these, he's gone to court and this, and I'm like, and how he goes into all these other people, and he goes into all their stuff. And then I kept saying, no, let's just focus on you. It's only about you. It's only about you. And then I got in trouble for yelling, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, I'm loud, but I'm trying to, you're not hearing. And it was just, ugh. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What can you get out of that?
My question is, are you telling him something he can't hear?
Oh, understatement. Yes,
So
like that. That's when I just, in the end, okay.
everywhere you're trying to shove that in, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. The thing is, not everybody is willing to choose to be happy. And not everybody is willing to choose to be aware. I know it's fucking mind-blowing, but people love their trauma drama and they love their suffering. And to some people, having an easy life, having things be fun and light and beautiful is death to them. They think if they don't have a struggle, that they're not alive. It's a little wacky, but until they're willing to reach for something different, there's really no telling them. So,
Same conversation with Joe this morning. I looked at him and I said, I used to wake up and start my day in drama, 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 drama. I have to be busy. I have to be this. I have to be this. Now I get up in the mornings. I go over there, over to my deck, outside under the trees, and I do my way in and I do this and I do a bit of reflection and I do a bit of expanding and I go, wow, I've started my days totally differently now. And I create so much more. And then I come back in. I don't make housework my priority anymore. Me is my priority.
awesome.
And yeah, and it's just so much easier than trying to, you're right, so much easier trying to make things happen. You know, make it happen in a certain way. I've got to have it this way. I've got to have it this way, this way. Okay, something come up. To not have an expectation of somebody, for instance, myself, and I've got the awareness that she's in her bottle again. Let's just leave it at that. So she's in her warren hole and there's a lot of this going on. And I've been trying to contact her because I've had a daughter with me for the last 4 days saying, ring me, ring me, ring me. All the excuses came through, but knowing that I can now know when they're bullshit, there's something else going on, and she's waking up at midday, that says a lot. So I'm like feeling lie after lie after lie that she's telling herself, which is fine.
So what's your question?
What question can I ask to be able to speak to her, to get through, to communicate? Oh yeah, because there's a few.
Truth, does she want to change at all?
Oh, no.
So then there's nothing you can say.
Okay, cool. Well, you got that, lighten me up.
For you to know that and to know that it's not your responsibility to change her.
Oh, you big yawn. Look at that. Yeah. See, I feel so much lighter now because I just went, oh, of course, that's trying to change.
It's like, I was saying this morning in the other group, if you're out and about and somebody's baby is crying and you hear it, it's not your baby to console. Like you can wave and try to change it, but it's not your baby, right? So do you need to handle everybody else's everything? Even if they come to you and they say, I need help, or this problem and that problem, they're not necessarily asking. You have to ask yourself, truth, do they want to change this? Truth, are they willing to have anything else show up? Are they willing to let go of any of this? And a lot of times it's no. And it's crazy, but it's a no. So you have to honor them and their choice, and they're not wrong for choosing it. That's just what they're choosing. And you can still choose what you want to choose. And sometimes being that, not trying to make them change, not being superior bitch or asshole, trying to get them to do what you think is right for them, allows them to have that space of like, oh, wow, I'm not being judged anymore. Maybe I would like to change. You know, it's
Yeah, I
when
get
somebody's forcing something on you, nobody likes it. Even if it's good for you, nobody likes it. So
it's interesting.
everywhere we've like taken on the role to fix everybody that we're aware of and all their problems that they're not asking for. Can we please destroy and uncreate that?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and meals. And all the yawning is part of the releasing of the energetic stuff that we hold in our bodies. It's not that you're tired.
No.
It's actually a release.
It normally means for me that we're right on the money. And I saw this call and I had a million things going on around me. And I went, oh, you got to leave now. I said to these people, you got to leave now because I've got something to do. And I am just so grateful, even with my builders building around us, new TV cabinets gone in. Now the decks going, other bits going in today. It's very exciting. But no, I said, you leave. And now I'm releasing all of their bullshit. It's not a wrongness. I mean, have fun with all of it. Ain't my world. And that's where I have to be very careful because I do go down the rabbit hole. And I'm not anymore.
Yeah. And you know, it's a choice too. And again, it's a muscle that we need to build of our awareness of like, wow, if I make that choice to go down the rabbit hole, what's that going to create? And if I choose not to, what's that going to create? And you know, a lot of times these habitual responses are so quick, it's hard to not fall in. But the more you play with these tools and the more you use your knowing and you acknowledge stuff, the easier it becomes to see that rabbit hole a split second before you're going to trip and fall in. And then you can see it miles away and just avoid it altogether. So it's something that you build over time. And especially running bars really helps with all of this stuff and clearing out all of the muck and the guck in our brains that we've stored. Yeah. So all of this works together, and these clearings
reset
and
button,
these
I
tools.
call it the reset. Resets everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Reset.
Yeah, it's
Reset.
like walking in nature.
Back there resets you to now, second. It's interesting. You live your life being in your 10 seconds, and when you hear the stories and you hear the story and then you hear them talking about someone else's story and then them trying to tell a story, which is all over the place. And I just sat there and I just went, I just have to be really present to get all of this. And I just watched this woman tell me the longest story about a broken pot. That's all it was about. And I went, okay, never met this woman before. And it was just interesting how I've learned now to go and listen and then just sort of relay back to her what I'm hearing so she knows I'm listening. Cool. And I thought, okay, that's no drama for the day. That's all she's telling me. Anything she wants from me? No, cool. I mean, I have something to eat.
So we've got to get to the last tool here. The last tool is recognizing that what feels like anger is sometimes potency. And there's a difference when you're actually being potent. It's not the adrenaline rush and that, you know, when you get really upset and you get the adrenaline rush and then you're jittery for a while and you have to come down from it. That's the fight or flight. It feels really similar to that, but true potency doesn't have any of that. And it has this like explosive, energetic force that when you don't stuff it down can be used to change things. Like if a little kid is running out in the street and you go, stop, you know, they're like, okay. so they don't get run over. That's not anger, that's potency.
Julie,
Yes,
I have two questions, one for Giselle and one for Vivi. Can I ask them?
of course.
Giselle is asking, when I don't know how to deal with, when we don't know how to deal with our potency and that converts in pain in our body, what can I do?
Wait, can you say that again? I didn't hear one of the words.
Okay. When we don't know how to deal with the potency, our potency, and that convert in pain in your body,
Yeah.
what can I do?
Turn it 180 degrees. Because when we stuff our potency, we're locking it in. It's like a pressure cooker. You know those pots with a pressure cooker and the steam comes out? So instead of locking it into your body, turn it 180 degrees and send it out. See
Wow.
if she has anything after that, but
I guess she will listen the translation after.
oh, okay, yeah.
And Vivi says, how to use the potency without react? Is choosing what's going to create more.
Well, the thing is, it's never a how. And these things, you practice the tools, you have your awareness, you build on it, and it's like you make a demand for your life that your life is going to, you're going to choose things that are light and that expand possibilities, and that you're not going to choose to contract yourself anymore or be at the effect. And you go about your day and things happen. But it's not something that you think about, and this is how I'm going to react. It's like things just occur and you're building your muscle of awareness. So, for example, I had somebody come into my store who wanted to take something back that was given to me. And I was like, well, I'll give it to you at the end of business today, not during the day. And, it started out like a normal conversation. And then the person got angry and obstinate and said, no, I'm not leaving without it. And I don't know, this potency came out and I said, get out. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. and um, and this energy just came up, and I was not going to back down from it, and I was not going to try to argue about it. It was just, this is not happening, you need to go now, or I'm going to call the police or whatever. And the person left, and as soon as they left, I felt like me, like I didn't have any of that trembling, and I didn't feel anything. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It's so different. I had no idea that it would show up like that. I don't have a lot of shit in my life. I mean, things are just easy. But when something does come up, there's access to this potency that is like, no fucking way, you're not doing this, you're not hurting me, you're not taking this, whatever. Even in driving, if you see some, car or truck coming into you, I do that and energetically push them back into their lane. And it's funny because I see my kids do it too. They've probably watched me do it, and I'm like, no, go with that. And it's amazing. Like, a lot of people do this. Sometimes if I have somebody in front of me on a long road trip, I'll have that person in front of me who's going too slow. I'll be like, take the exit, you have to go to the bathroom, whatever, to make them move. So there's all kinds of things that we can do to put thoughts into people's heads and to use energy to change situations. The question is, are you willing to access it? Are you willing to know that you have that capacity? And will you take the lid off and actually use it for you, not stuff it and have it be against you? So everywhere we've been stuffing it instead of using it for us, let's destroy and uncreate that now. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And for all of you ladies who have been told it's not ladylike to be, pissy like that, or somebody called you angry when you were being potent, and so you got them mixed up, will you destroy and uncreate all that and allow your true potency to be when it's required? Everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So it's not about like shouting at everybody and pushing people out of the way all the time. Like, you should have every single energy accessible to you at any moment for you to use so that you can navigate your way through the world and create whatever it is that you've come here to create. Anything that you've made bad or wrong is usually something that you have a capacity in that, if it wasn't bad or wrong, you might have access to, and you might be able to create something different. So everywhere you've bought the wrongness stuff that is actually the strongness of you, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. Anybody else have a question? Anybody feeling lighter, more energized, and relaxed? Isn't it interesting that you can be relaxed and energized after the call that we were tired approaching? This is part of the amazingness of Access. It hasn't even been an hour. But every time I facilitate a class, I just have so much more energy. My body, all the molecules are all tingly. I feel like a champagne bottle. And that is the generative energy of being alive. Wherever you have duplicated other people's kind of shut down, flatline energy, will you destroy and uncreate all that and allow your body to be alive and happy and tingly? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And sometimes it's just, hearing, oh, that's an awareness of a lie. And like all of a sudden you all this more energy. It's like, thank God somebody told me something that actually makes sense. How much of our lives have we been told lies? So that we're like shutting down and tying our arms and legs behind us and trying to move through life without hardly any of our magical capacities. So with Access, every single one of the classes are to empower you to know everything that you know and to have access to all of your capacities and to allow them to show up new and different every single day. So I invite you to explore more if you'd like to. And if there aren't any other questions, somebody just rang my doorbell. So we're having a bars trade. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, cool. Well,
I want to say thank you, Julie. This
You're
has
welcome.
been a really great hour.
Thank you.
oh, yeah, I'll send out the recording, and if you guys have
Thank
any
you very much.
you can certainly send me an email, and there's all kinds of classes coming up, especially the Committing to Your Living, January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's going to be a really fun weekend, so I hope you'll join me. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Night.